Let's welcome up Gert Marion, who leads corporate innovation at Proximus.
Hi.
Gert, have a seat.
Thank you.
So, we are here to talk about addressable advertising.
Indeed.
Before we do that, what do you do at Proximus? Tell us a bit about the corporate innovation role.
First of all, Proximus, we're the incumbent telco operator in Belgium. Corporate innovation is looking at adjacent innovation or transformational innovation, meaning outside of the telco domain. And addressable TV was one of those projects that were in there, a successful project because we made a product out of it. And I am coordinating that corporate innovation structure, and I was very deeply involved in addressable.
So Proximus has been really leading the charge on addressable in Belgium. Give us the history of the addressable initiative and the work you've been doing.
Basically we were the first IPTV operator worldwide who introduced addressable, so that's a very nice achievement. Where does it come from? Well, already in the beginning when we started with IPTV, we said we sit on a lot of data, which we don't do anything with it, and we already thought about addressability and things. Back then, it was 2005. But first we had to have our reach, our platform out there, so at a certain moment, we saw that technology became available to do addressability. We saw that the broadcasters and the advertisers were starting to willing to adopt it. We started the project. First of all, not on the big screen, but we started on smartphones, on tablets, because there the technology integration was a lot easier. We learned a lot. We did a lot of trials there. And then we moved that implementation to the set-top box, because we work with set-top boxes. Yeah.
And it's a local storage ad insertion overlay or server side?
Everything.
Right.
So everything that is linear, there we do local ad insertion.
Got it.
So out of the planning, so the broadcasters, they have a tool, a freewheel tool, where they can plan their campaigns. We know what's coming on. We put the ads on the box. And the moment that we need to replace something, we have it already there, we replace it. That's for everything that's linear. Everything that is deferred viewing, where you watch something later, there we do it server side. So we really have a mix of both. Yeah.
So the enormous question every platform operator grapples with is the relationships with broadcasters.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about how you built out those relationships. What does the revenue share look like?
Well, first of all, we don't sell anything. We don't sell the ads. It's the sales house of the broadcaster who sells the ads. It's the broadcaster who defines within his linear ad schedule which ads can be replaced. So that's all with metadata and tagging the video streams that we get from them. So that is happening. And we have a sort of revenue share. I'm not going to say how much, but there is a CPM model there for replacement.
I mean, so you're essentially the tech provider. Charging a kind of platform fee.
We are the tech provider, but we are also the data provider.
Right.
Yeah, because we have a lot of data on our customers. So that is also something that we provide. So, we gather our data, we create different segments out of the data which are available to the broadcasters. But not only our data, we can also have third-party data that we integrate in an anonymous way via a sort of bunker, it's Infosum in Belgium, a system where we can create even larger segments, or we can have data from advertisers in there. So that's what we're doing. DHCP, everything has to be privacy.
So you are allowing both the advertisers and the broadcasters to bring their data assets into the mix.
Yeah.
And then you can use your data as well as data to support segment definition.
Yeah. So we have built a very big consent engine at Proximus that we don't only use for advertising, but also for other things, where people give their consent. So it's all GDPR compliant. The broadcasters have to do the same. So they have to make sure that they have the consent to use that data. Yeah.
And one thing, just briefly before we move on, which I've always found fascinating, is that I think I'm right, but a lot of this work you've done internally with your own tech teams. Yeah. You've had some vendors and suppliers involved, but you've also driven it from an internal...
The problem was, when we started, there was no standard available. Also technology to do IP insertion, it didn't exist. So we worked with a lot of our vendors to create that. Yeah. That was mainly my role. I'm an engineer, I come from technical side, so yeah.
And this is interesting because your team wasn't huge, was it? I mean, it was a relatively small, nimble, agile.
Yeah, that's the way we, that's the word. That's the way we work in innovation. Yeah. So we say, okay, this is our project we're going to run. We give those guys a physical table, very big table, and we were 8 people working on that project. Yeah.
So what use cases do you support with addressable? What are the kinds of purposes that people are using the addressable capability for?
Yeah, well, the simple one is replace an ad for ad, replace that and target that. But we're also doing other things. So today we know who has watched which linear ad. Again, tagging data streams, tagging the video with which ad is played. So we know who has watched it, and we can, based on that info, also go targeted to people who didn't watch it. Yeah. And previously Flip talked about annoyance, ad annoyance, that the frequency is too high. For that we did a test with Solo. I don't know if the brand is known, but it's a bakery product, yeah, to bake things. There we did a test where we said, okay, we're gonna limit the frequency of the linear campaign. And we measure who saw it. And afterwards, we went with a targeted campaign to the people who didn't see it. Yeah? And that was basically, it was a very good success because we really increased the reach of the campaign by having a less frequency and targeting. And we calculated that for budget-wise, to have the same reach, we would have spent 163% of the budget that we have spent for this campaign. And we got an award. We're nominated for an award for that also.
And what was the award you were nominated?
Yeah, the Emma Award, but I think it's something in Belgium.
Right.
I'm an engineer. I'm not known for that, but
awards are good.
But that are things that we are doing. So there we have some creative use cases, but we're also looking at how can we link linear, addressable, and digital. The digital world.
Right.
Yeah.
And how are you doing that?
Yeah. So we have a joint venture in Belgium, Ads and Data, that we set up with a publishing company, and even our competitors are in there, Telnet SBS, where we are thinking. We're not doing it yet, but where we are thinking about how can we link. People saw an ad on TV, linear or addressable. How can we link that to the digital environment? And with digital, I mean smartphones, web environments. How can we link that there? And so we're expanding really in that direction to link the 3 domains. Yeah.
And can you tell us just roughly what proportion of the inventory that's being viewed on the platform is addressable? As in, is addressable a pretty small part, or is it?
It's a growing part.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a growing part because there's always the dilemma that the sales houses of the broadcasters have. Yeah, when we sell something,
yes.
When we sell an ad, it's hard to say, yeah, but your ad will probably be replaced, and we don't know how much because you don't know in advance. Right. How much reach you will have with certain ads, with ad slots. So, but it's growing. It's growing. In the beginning, it was all auto promo places that were replaced.
And we were talking yesterday at a session I was moderating about the amount of reskilling and training and education that has to happen in ad sales teams to really support addressable. It's new tools, new pricing models, supporting different campaign objectives. Do you have any insights into how the broadcasters that you work with have had to change their operations to support addressable?
They had to change it, but we from our marketing group, the guys who are advertising that, they really provided the tools, and we also went out to the market to educate the market on what is addressable TV and what can it bring it to you. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. Now something we are also seeing is that, because I talked about digital and linear and addressable, to merge that, there are ideas to go very far in that. There's a very big difference between the two, because the CPM on digital is much lower than that you have in the TV world.
Right.
So having a mixed campaign there, selling a mixed campaign there, that's something that's going to be a big learning.
Got you.
Yeah.
So that's a great sort of overview of where you're at today with addressable.
Yeah.
What's next on the roadmap?
What's next on the roadmap? Yeah, it will be market driven. Yeah. So we work very closely with our customers, and it will be mainly that bridging between the linear, digital, addressable. That's a main topic. Yeah.
And what do you mean by that? Just unpack that a bit for us.
What we mean by that? Yeah, that we can run campaigns across the devices. Yeah. You saw a certain ad on TV, you had an addressable ad on TV, a little bit later you come to your PC environment and you see a follow-up ad on that. You go to a website, but we don't do that today. But something which is really rich with the telco is all the traffic data. Yeah. Basically, we know which websites you view. If we could unlock that traffic data to bring that, you go to a website and you see a site on house renovation or whatever. Yeah. We could link that on TV with an addressable spot for, a new, I don't know, a new refrigerator or something for the bathroom. So that are also things we are looking at. But there, all the consent gathering, that's the biggest challenge. Yeah.
The final quick question for me. We saw Reese earlier talking a bit about attribution and effectiveness and talking about the results that some of the campaigns that ITV is delivering are realizing for clients. Are you looking at data-driven attribution as well? Kind of closed-loop attribution?
Yeah, that's also something we're looking at. Yeah. And if we do that in our own ecosystem, that's something we can do. And there also the traffic data can help.
Right.
Yeah. But that's step by step. That's going to evolve because that shows the value of addressable. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Gert? No. In which case, Gert, I'm going to say a massive thank you.
Yes.
That's been great as usual.
Great, John. Thank you.